position. If it had hit about 6 inches higher, I wouldn't be typing this message. He took a massive load of shrapnel in his face and hands. His goggles saved his eyes, but one of his ears was blown off and later surgically reconstructed. He was in the hospital for over a year. They left a lot of the smaller pieces of shrapnel in his hands, and I remember him having several episodes when one would decide to come back out years later. I could rarely get him to talk about the war. He'd gladly tell stories about the mounted cavalry days, but would rarely talk about combat. When he died in 1990, I found his medals stored in a box and he had a shitload of them. But all that time, he was just Dad. 6. Very pleased to write this on Father's Day. I grew up in the 70s and 80s at West Point, an army post. All of the dads had combat patches on their right shoulders from Vietnam. I didn't know that my dad's was any different. This may sound like an exaggeration due to terrible stereotypes, but my father never lost his temper or swore at us, or at all, for that matter. He wasn't a drinker and was, still is, the most gentle man you'd hope to meet. When I was 4, my mother had been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. My dad dedicated himself to taking care of my mom, my brother, and me. He put his